Welcome to the Lady NightHawk show, where we definitely talk about hot topics on this show, and we try to give you information as we hear it. We try to pass it along to you. And so we have guests that are experts in the field that we have come on, so that, because I don't know, but I try to have people that know what goes on in the world to come on to the show. The person that's here, it's a great honor to have him here. He used to be here all the time. He helped me start the veterans show that we had, and when things kind of settle down, we'll go back to that. And but because it's very important now, I think. But I'd like for him to introduce himself, because he's another one of my co-hosts. Because they've been hanging in there with me so long, okay? But I'd like for him to introduce himself to you, and it's a great honor to have you here with us tonight. And I want to say thank you.
Hey, thank you for inviting me to another one of your shows.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Eggleston with the Military of the Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And we're straight advocates all the way around. We look at the family as well as the veteran himself or herself as a care package. And we make sure we keep them on the right track. So thank you again.
Yeah, and so I'm glad that you are, because you were very busy. That's why we didn't see him for a while, because in the last administration, he got asked by the president to be a part of his group, the people that protect him. So that was an honor by itself. And then we saw him on television with one of the top world news reporters they were in the hospital together at Veterans Hospital. And both of them were on television last year. But I had him first, okay? But it was an honor to see that he got that prestige, And I met him at a family funeral for a veteran that had a Purple Heart. And from there, we talked, and he's just been in my life ever since then, and a part of the shows that I've been doing. It is really, really sad, and I am so overwhelmed to see you as a veteran, a Purple Heart veteran that is being abused by this administration. And the other veterans, and the ambulance crew, the fireworks, the little kids, food. I mean, everything that's going on is that we have to keep democracy alive. That's the whole reason why you help other people in other countries to have democracy. And we can keep democracy here in our own country. It's not something that we take lightly as American citizens, you understand? Because democracy is important. We've been through all those fights. Right. We've been beat up and people hosed down and you couldn't sit at discount and you couldn't do this. We've been through all of that.
Have you really?
And
and I'm saying
not like this, but what I'm saying is that for those civil rights movements to take place peacefully. Yeah. They weren't out there causing problems.
Well, it could be a new version of it coming back. And that's what I think sometimes. Yeah. Even though I probably wasn't even around when all this stuff was happening. Yeah. But I go off of what I see on TV. Yes. And I sit back and think sometimes, maybe someone's bringing something back from the past to the front as a test. I don't know, and I'm not going to say it's about discrimination and all that, and it very well could be totally about discrimination. Well,
I'm going to say it's about discrimination because they blatantly, that's what MAGNA stands for, and they will tell you that it's about the white population. It's not about minorities. I don't care, and I say people.
So is that the reason why he basically pardoned all these guys who
that did the Congress, the white up at the Capitol?
That was a part of the insurrection. Is because he didn't approve of them doing that from the start, and he separated himself from that. But
he helped instigate it, allegedly.
Yeah, but he went back and pardoned him. So if I give you $5 for smacking someone in the face, a year later, I had a part to do with that, probably. That's why I think. Maybe maybe someone had a part, and they telling you up front, I had something to do with that. That's why I pardoned these guys. What we should have done constitutionally, or if we could have done it judicially, make sure it's no way to be pardoned away from that kind of crime.
Well, then they asked him about that on news. I watch the news all the time. I don't care what channel it's on. I watch them. I tape them. They asked him, well, some of those people that you did release were just like you trying to, round up all these people that you said convicted felons. Some of them were actually convicted felons. Out of 150 people, did anybody sit down and look to see who was who and who? He said, oh, that would have taken all day. That would have taken a long number of time.
It wouldn't.
They
had already been through all that.
But what I'm saying, this is the answer that he gave to a news reporter. Wow. So he said, he said, well, do you think that you ever go back through them? And he said, no, I think it'd take too much time. But we're rounding up people and not looking to see whether or not they're actually. I mean, it is frightening. I'm gonna tell you. I'm telling you, it is very frightening to watch television and see this PhD student, older woman, standing on the street at a bus stop, and you see 6 guys with mask on, black. You would think that it was something, and they dressed like something out the movie that you kidnap people with because of their agency. You understand what I'm saying? They should be able to be dressed for their agency, but they're keeping their faces, when they taking these people, they're keeping their faces covered so you can't see who's who. And I guess some of them, I don't care, because I'm quite sure they probably embarrassed that they're being asked to do that. And so they don't want anybody to know who they are or what, who they are. I would be, but they doing what somebody's telling them to do.
Well, they fall in an unlawful order, so it doesn't matter.
Right. And so the thing is this, is that is frightening to me, to see 6 people take this woman, snatch her off the street. If they did not have cameras that was up on those buildings, that woman would have gotten snatched up and her family would have been trying to figure out where she was. Right. Like a couple of other people gotten snatched up and they still don't know where their family, because they move them from jail to jail to jail to jail just so that they won't catch up with the order. Just I got this off the news, is not what I know. I'm repeating what I saw on the news. That they move them that quick because they don't want the Supreme Court judge to come down and tell, or judge for that federal judge to stop them from being able to get them to move to wherever they're really trying to get them to go to. And I think it's very frightening that some of these things from the news, not what I know, just from the news, that, because a person has a tattoo, everybody has tattoos now. I don't care who you are, what race you are, you got tattoos. And so because you have a tattoo, you lock one of these guys up because he had a tattoo, and come to find out the tattoo wasn't even a gang signal, And what is so appalling to me is when I heard from the news agencies, I know that they say that some of it's fake news, but everybody can't be fake because I watch them all,
Right.
That the reason why you can't get that young boy to come home is because he's paying. When the guy came into the White House and they asked him, are you gonna let the guy go? He said, I can't let him go. The dignitary that was there, I can't let him go. And so the news reporter asked the president. The president deferred this question to his little secretary, that speaks. He didn't even answer the question. When it comes out later, the president of the country comes back and says on news, and on all of them, and says that, he's paying us something like, I'm not quite sure about the figures. I might be even inflating it or deflating it, for that one person, we get like $15 million. And so, and we got all these other ones that are sitting over here, and we're getting X amount of dollars for all of them. We're not letting them go. You understand what I'm saying? It was a deal that we made with the president of your United States. Because every time somebody asks him, can you get him home, they'll say it's not up to us, it's up to him. And we keep on trying to, he said, well, it's not up to me, it's up to them. Well, first of all, he shouldn't have moved them because he had an order that told him not to let that plane go. So all those people got kidnapped, basically, you understand? And this one young guy got hung up in it, and, they have to find stuff to make up, which wasn't not the reason why he originally got locked up. And so you have to keep this guy lifted up, because he was snatched, so far as I'm concerned, he was snatched off the street, you know. Illegal. And so don't you just think, because the lady that was a college student, she wasn't a Latino, she was another race, okay? So don't you think that you can't get snatched up off the street and nobody knows where you are?
Yeah.
Now, because it's a minority thing. It's not just Latinos. That's where we started with Latinos. But now we're taking Asian people off the street, you know. You're taking whatever this PhD lady was. She wasn't Latino. They snatched her off the street. You don't know, you know, if you say something that you're not supposed to say. And like I said, I'm getting my stuff from the news. It's not. I'm not a news reporter. You know, I'm telling you as I see it. So if it's fake news, they should have cameras that showed you what was going on at the time. And so it makes you wonder, because of what MAGNA stands for. I had to ask somebody, you know, because I said, I really can't believe that the American people voted for somebody that walks around with a MAGNA hat on that says it stands for Make America Great Again, but it's not really for that. It's really for the organization that he is aligned with. That's what his organization is aligned with.
And breaking the Constitution, tearing it apart, at best, you know. So if that's something to shake a hat and shake your man's hand to, have fun at it, because I don't get it. That's not why I went in the military. That's not why I sacrificed my life. That's not the reason why a lot of other war fighters served to defend the Constitution of this country.
And still serving.
And still serving.
And for those flight plans to get let loose, you know, could have got a whole lot of American soldiers killed, you know. And they still haven't really done anything about that, you know, because they're defending that person, you know, when they have proof that it was done not only once, but after that it was done again.
Yeah.
And so what does that say that you care about so far as our military people are concerned? You know, somebody said, not me, here again, I'm not going to say what show I saw it on, but somebody said that he said that he was angry when he didn't get elected president the first time. Mm-hmm. That he said he was going to come back and get us. Okay, anybody that ever done anything to him, he was going to get back and get them. Well, that's the whole United States. Okay, because nobody backed him on that first election. Yep. And he's true to his word. When he says something, he's true to his word about it. Because that's exactly what is happening right now. Because you all those federal people that got fired for no reason, no just cause, you know, all of those other agencies that are very important because they do scientific things to make sure that we stay healthy and safe, and right in the middle of a bird flu, you know, he snatched some of those scientists up and shut down that agency. And, you know, the other little small agencies that they had that are very vital to our existence here.
Like education.
Education, public access for PBS, so Sarah, let me make sure I say that right, PBS for what we've been teaching little kids on how to...
African American Smithsonian.
Yeah. And they're taking, yes, they're trying to rewrite history, he says, because he wants to right the wrong. And so the takeaway...
You can't show the shortcomings or the bad part of history. Why would you show slavery? That was, when I heard that statement, I was like, that doesn't even make sense.
No.
If it's something that happened, it happened.
Right.
You just can't delete it out and be like, hey, we're not doing this. Won't you go over to the Holocaust Museum and try that? Mm-hmm. And see kind of fall back and get off of that. You can walk into the African American Museum and do that, because we don't come out in force like the Jewish population and their support cast would come out in force. If he thought about walking in there, tearing down or stopping anything that's going on in that museum.
Well, they've taken quite a few pieces
Absolutely.
back.
Yep.
And they won't, the Women's Black Museum, they're trying to shut that one down. To any of those museums downtown.
And they're about to remove the slavery
expo
inside the African American Museum, because it shouldn't have been in there. It's a bad time in history, and let's forget the bad times and just concentrate on the good times. Well, I understand that. If we want to concentrate on the good times, let's get rid of the current bobblehead and get another bobblehead, just like talking about it. I mean, we can't look at stuff and say we will undo it or we're going to do it a certain way. You have to, it's pre-planned, it went through the process, leave it as it is, unless it was something hurtful at the point. And of course, slavery, everything about slavery was hurtful, because I'm pretty sure these guys didn't volunteer to come over here on a ship, boat, or plane.
They did, and that's what part of history shows us as well. And, to go to a historical museum, to start tearing down museums, I think that's a disgrace before God, okay?
Yeah, and removing artifacts.
I think that it's really, really sad. And then the one about the black women that have made it in this country and set forth to try to shut down that museum. That's a brand new museum that they're trying to shut down, like we don't exist again. Well, they don't believe that we exist anyway.
Well, we don't fight like other populations fight, apparently, because if we were fighters like, go again, like the Jewish population, I guarantee you, or even the Italiano or Italian population, you wouldn't dream about doing anything of the sort, because you will get some type of response. It's not going to be as nice as you want it to be.
Well, during the civil rights movement, maybe they're afraid that it'll show us how to fight back, because during the civil rights movement, that's when we got a lot of things. It's in the museum. Maybe he thinks that if he does away with that for people like you to say that you weren't around during that time and how the demonstrations were done, because they do show clips and things down at the museum too, right. Marches and stuff. Okay, so maybe that he's taking some of that away. I don't know, so that's not a quote, but maybe he's taking some of that away so that we won't know how to march peacefully.
Right.
And demonstrate peacefully, not only with just minorities, but cohesive as a group. Because during the civil rights movement, it wasn't just black people that was marching.
Right, it was everybody.
It was cohesiveness. It was the Latinos. It was the Jewish people. It was, you name it. It was in that group. And so it wasn't just black folks then. It was a camaraderie, because civil rights were being discriminated against, not just us.
Family.
But
it was all family.
It was, yes.
Yep.
And so if you take that out the museum, if you've never seen it, you don't even know how to get a march. And the people that started those marches, most of them are dead.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Because the Senator Griffin, Jasmine, she's a young senator and a Democrat that is really trying to get the Democrats to do something.
You say Senator Griffin, yeah, or Congressman?
Congressman.
Congresswoman. Oh,
Congresswoman
gotcha.
Griffin, I'm sorry. Right. Yeah, she's really trying to get them to do something. And so is Cory Booker. He's trying to get people to do something. It was some congressmen, because I watch some of those channels too, sometimes to see them live and what they're debating about. It was another black congressman, Democrat, that asked for an article of impeachment. And he said he just made his case, but he said he was going to come back and request it. And it was supposed to have been two more since then that had made a case, but then they're supposed to bring it back to ask for an article of impeachment.
Right.
But my understanding, when I was talking to somebody, I don't know if this is true or not, the reason why he did not get locked up the last time was because they didn't say impeach and remove. They have to say there has to be an article of impeachment and removal for them to have it done right away.
It's a two-stage process.
It's a two-stage process, and I didn't know that. And I guess whoever was that was in Congress at the time didn't know that either, because
they knew it. They knew it. They went for it, and they didn't get the
second half,
the removal
of it,
side.
The removal side. And so that was news to me, and I wonder how many of y'all know that has to be a fact. And I just found out recently that that's.
You could be impeached and still hold the position.
You could be impeached, but if you say impeachment with removal, then they have to be removed from office. And it doesn't matter, because when they said that the Constitution was made, nobody was above the law, and that's the whole point.
That's a new thing, though. That's old news. This is a new thing. You got people above the Constitution and the law, apparently.
Well, I think that some of the people that he must have, this is what I heard on the news again, it's not me, that some of the people that he had, the judges that were backing and supporting him at one point, they found out that he totally lied to them.
Yeah.
And then that's why they're standing up now, because they see what's happening to the world. And I take my hat off to those judges, because it was just like everybody was bamboozled that didn't know that they were being bamboozled. Well, we know better, because that's why we sat back. And a lot of people would tell him at the time, look, he got a 2025 project going on out there. Just pick it up and read it. You can get it, you know. And he kept saying he didn't know anything about it. But on the news again, they're saying that he's going by that playbook. If you get your hand on it, you read it, you see it, it's going step by step. It's the playbook that he's using, you know. I have not read it, you know, but I don't need to, because I see it unfolding before my eyes, you know. And like I said, I look at almost every news station that they have out here, you know. Not just the local news, but, you know, like Rachel Maddow and some of those other people, Chris Hayes, you know, and some of the other newscasters that actually been watching it, and Rachel has been showing us where we've had demonstrations across all the country, and we wouldn't know that because they're not showing that on regular news.
Of course not. Just like when I was down south, I didn't see none of the stuff that's going on up here. It was just like it's Disney World, all in the United States. But of course, anyone who's shaking hands as a contractor or attached to the federal government knows different. They definitely knows different, because they have lost their job or soon will lose their job. They would be ripped out of the box for no reason, you know.
And they're still firing people.
Absolutely. I wish they stopped as of tonight.
They still. I wish they
just
stopped
say, hey, we done
right
did
now.
enough.
Yeah.
We'd had enough.
Yes.
And I'm with you.
Yes.
I concur.
Yes.
Because of that, the suicide rate and going through the walls. Like when I talk to folks, I say, I have never been to so many funerals in a shortest period of time. Within the first 2 weeks that he started doing that riff with Elon, I went to 6 funerals within the first 2 weeks.
Well, that's just crazy anyway. This man, everybody else has to be vetted, you know, nominated and vetted. I mean, you just created an office.
Like I say, some of us beyond the Constitution and retrospective, and there's no way that the judicial system or Congress will allow a person to have that type of presidential power to say, hey, this person is going to act on my behalf, even though he hasn't been properly vetted. And that's not the only person that's doing that. We've got several other folks doing the same thing now. Their name ain't Elon. They have different names.
Oh, it is?
Oh, but believe that.
Okay.
You just change names, still same scope. I don't see that Dodge going anywhere. I mean, that's still in full effect. Yeah. Still going through the firing and non-hiring.
He don't have to be standing up in front of your face. He already trained the people that he wanted to train to go in and out these places that he had, you know, just going in there. None of our information, all of us has been exposed, you know. So I think that
it depends on if you want to listen to it. If the average citizen listen to what's being said on the TV, on the tube, on the radio, whatever device they want to listen through or look at, if they just listen to what's being said when he speaks, he's telling you exactly, hey, this is what I'm going to do to you.
Yes. Yeah, and he's always been that way. That's one thing that I could say about him. The only thing that he's done this time was he fooled the voters that were going to support him, because he told them that he was not, and that's on the news, I'm not going to mess with Medicare. I'm not going to mess with Social Security. I'm not going to mess with the veterans, okay? Who would have thought that he was going to go fire all these people, okay? But goes back to anything that he says he's going to do, if he thinks somebody's done something to him, that I'm going to get retaliation from it. And when I first saw all these things people being fired all over the place. Well, he getting the whole country at one swoop because he didn't get that first presidential election that he still says that he won. And so how do you retaliate against that? You can't do one by one because it's going to take too long. After I do all what I want to do, right? I mean, this is what I heard from another commentator, okay? This is not my original thought. After I do all I want to do, now I can get out, okay? Because now I've destroyed the country and I've torn down democracies.
Yeah,
but
I can
because
leave.
I told y'all, ain't nothing I didn't tell you. This is what the person said, the commentator said.
So you're trying to say he's trying to take us down to ground zero?
Yes.
And we have to rebuild ourselves again?
Yes, democracy is gone. I mean, he does not want democracy because that's why he even came out and said that he was, the person laughed and said, for him to even come out and say that he wanted to be a king, let you know where his head is, okay?
So I guess we have a Congress that's not being congressional.
We definitely have a Congress that's not being congressional.
And they just set themselves up for the big okie doke because the public is paying attention, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. They're paying attention who's allowing what to happen and when it happened. And you better believe, as of July, they on the march for the next term. That's when they get out and start trying to tell their new lies and new fairy tales, but they're going to soon find out. We don't forget. And you out of that seat. And
that's what they've been saying on the news, that these people that are not doing nothing, they need to start doing something because their election terms, to start for the election, getting ready to come up, and they're going to have a rude awakening because of the polls, which they say is fake. But I mean, everybody.
They can say what they want to, but they're not going to get voted back in.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Right,
so because they're not doing the job and they're not doing what they need to do to keep the democracy alive. And that's what all it's about. It's a democracy. This country is built on democracy, and we have to realize that we have to keep democracy alive peacefully. Okay, peacefully. And, with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your views and, representing the veterans and the Purple Heart Association.
It's always great.
Thank you. And I'm glad to see you. And, I'm glad you're around now so we can have you back a little more often, So with that, let's say good night to the people.
Hey, good night and be well.
And be well and be blessed and be safe. Above all,
safe.
Be safe. And have a plan, okay? That if you get snatched up, you have a plan because that's what they're telling all these other people. Have a plan.